The latest installment of The News Doesn't Mean Shit. Genesis has just filed for bankruptcy in the United States, while Bitcoin has managed to pull a beautiful breakout above that $21,000 range just from our high. We've managed to rise up by 4% within basically an hour to, I don't know, like 4 hours, whatever. It happened super, super quickly. This is an incredibly significant breakout. The last time that Bitcoin traded all the way up here was 128 days ago. That is more than 4 months ago, ladies and gents. This is pretty big, pretty damn significant, because it means a few things, right? One of the key things that it means right off the bat is that we have now conclusively stopped setting lower highs on a midterm to macro scale, right? Now, ideally, what we want to see is that this translates over to the much larger time frames. If we kind of zoom out onto the one-day time frame, we want to see ourselves getting above this. This is the real macro high for our current, kind of market structure, either this or this, but I would say that this is like the real kind of big daddy resistance, so to speak. We've broken the smaller one right here, though, and that is very significant. So what I need to discuss with you today is the possibilities of a pullback, potentially taken as very low, just a little bit of a shallow pullback, and then riding up, which, spoiler alert, is, I think, most likely to happen, or if we're just going to rocket straight up towards $25,000. Let's break down all the possibilities, and in order to do that, we need to take a closer look at what happened right here. Bitcoin entered yet another instance of an ascending channel, and it managed to break out of that ascending channel no problem whatsoever. We actually had a really healthy consolidation. You guys will know this very well if you've been subscribed to the YouTube channel for a while, is that I've been saying we need either a price-based correction or a time-based correction. I'm the most vocal cunt on YouTube talking about this, and here we are. We had our beautiful time-based correction where the price didn't really dip down by very much, right? I mean, even from this high down to our low, it wasn't particularly crazy in any way whatsoever. My WhatsApp's getting spammed now. However, what we did see was just kind of sideways trading action, and that has resulted in this nice breakout to the upside, which I'm obviously very happy to be seeing right now. This also means that the market didn't really need to cool off. We've been able to just kind of rise higher without actually seeing a deeper cut into resistance. The deepest cut we did get was into the 1 hour Ichimoku cloud, which I was warning you guys could serve as support for Bitcoin. It did that beautifully. The 4 hour EMA ribbon, it did that beautifully. These are all things that I covered in the most recent video. So if you're not subscribed, if you don't have the bell icon checked, you are missing extremely valuable time-sensitive content. If that's okay with you, then sure. But if it's not, definitely go ahead and make sure that you are tuned into those things. And of course, if you join my free Telegram channel with this link down here in the description, you're going to get more updates from me around the clock from myself, my team, free of charge right here in this Telegram channel. So definitely go ahead and check that out as well while you're on the way down to the like button. Ladies and gents, here's the deal. Now that we've gotten this breakout, there's a few ways that we can extrapolate a target. Before I continue though, this ascending channel thing is really important. We were talking about it here, and we were also talking about it on a smaller time frame right down here. Now, I know this looks quite insignificant now, but if we kind of retrace back a little bit, we had a very similar structure right here. See, where Bitcoin basically started trading up very quickly and then traded up much slower. And I was warning you guys that this actually generally is quite a bullish thing for Bitcoin to do. It's a very, very significant thing that the market can pull off in general. Generally, this is going to be a bearish thing because it shows that, we managed to move up very quickly and then not so quickly, which is an indication that maybe we're losing momentum. But, for Bitcoin, it generally just means that the buying pressure doesn't stop. And if we bring ourselves back to the present day right now and take a closer look at what's happening, it's the same thing, guys. I talk about this all the time. Your job as a technical analyst, as a trader, really doesn't have to be difficult. A lot of people try and overcomplicate it. They just compensate for things that they don't have in terms of just basic technical fundamental skills, really. I mean, there's nothing much more to it, but if you kind of really just, dumb it down, take a deep breath and, kind of come at this with a more fresh approach, which is exactly what we're delivering to you guys inside of VIP and with the Forflies Academy, you're going to see that this is actually very, very straightforward. And so this this pump here is very much welcome. One of the ways you can measure how high it might go is actually just kind of taking a measure of the move right here, and then bringing that to the point where we start the next move, and that gives us according to this chart, a speculative target of $23,300, which, if you've been paying attention to the content on this YouTube channel, $23,300 is right in the middle, bam, right there, of this range that I've had outlined for you guys. This is not a coincidence. Technical analysis just works wonders. I hear people talking about how TA is like, astrology for women is like TA for men. which I find really funny, but you can't compare the two because this just works, and it works with a stunning success rate. That target potentially putting us right in the middle of this range. And why is this range important? Well, it's purely because, in my opinion, seeing this resistance rejection here made this a very important range. Seeing that the market actually consolidated here makes it a very important range. Seeing that we found support off the bottom of this level, we found support off the top of this level, we found resistance off the top, we found resistance off the top over here. Every area in this, kind of range between the top line, the bottom line, and the range itself has been very significant in terms of price action for Bitcoin. So 22.7 up to 23.8 is going to be a critical level for Bitcoin, in my opinion. If we're able to get above it, then I'm going to be looking at sweeping that high, potentially challenging this high, I should say more accurately, because I don't know if we're going to sweep it, but that would definitely be something that I would welcome. And you could also, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, say that the move actually starts from all the way down here, and if we extrapolate a target like that again, without any coincidence, guys, this is just how beautiful TA works, puts us right within the range of that resistance. So if we're going to be reproducing the same kind of move we've already seen, that to me would indicate that we'd be hitting the mid $20,000 range. Very, very nice indeed. And, one of the key things I want you guys to bear in mind right here is that when we're in situations like this in these markets, the market, it gains excitement very quickly, right? I mean, one of the key tells of being in a bull market, just like I flashed on screen at the very beginning of the video, is that we're going to see bearish headlines like Genesis. We're going to see bearish headlines like there was this Russian exchange, like I can't even remember the name. It was a really weird name. Like for some reason, Bratislava, which is a city, I think, is coming to mind. But that's not the name of the exchange. Anyway, you guys are going to know. They had like some drama going on a few days ago, probably still ongoing. Genesis is now having drama, but one of the classic tells of a bull market is that we just kind of shrug that stuff off, and the market is able to keep rising. And basically what that shows us is, in the wake of bad news, people just aren't really scared. They're still kind of rushing in to get into the market. And one of the key things that I think allows this to happen is simply where, and I've been saying this for a really long time, when the market has had an opportunity to take its selling pressure away, like when all the selling pressure that was in the market has had a chance to exhaust itself, the only thing you have left is buying pressure, right? So to say it differently, if all of the sell orders have been eaten up, but you only have buy orders remaining in the market, the price is just going to shoot up very quickly. That might not mean that this is the real price action for Bitcoin, right? And we know this because if we, and this is the same thing I was warning you guys about when we were rallying up to our all-time high. I was very unpopular at the time on YouTube when I was saying this, but obviously this kind of thing, it's not going to be very sexy when you say it, but it's correct, which is that, we weren't actually getting a lot of kind of buying volume, which by the way is similar to right now. So I'm going to bring that up in just a minute. We weren't getting a lot of buying volume on this chart, on any chart actually on this run up. If we take a look at Bitstamp, it really, you compare it to the volume that we had on our run up over here. Look at the volume down here, right? We had a huge amount of volume with this big run up when we initially broke above $20,000. But on the second leg, when we were going from 40 all the way up to 69,000, we had no volume in the market, right? And so to me, I was warning you guys that that's actually a pretty big tell that we could be in a situation, ladies and gents, where nobody's really selling Bitcoin. Not many people are buying Bitcoin either, but because nobody's selling, the price is able to skyrocket. As soon as we get a little bit of selling pressure, bam, things go bad again, and we start to see a little bit of a drop. That is exactly what I think Bitcoin could be in right now. Now, I think that's fairly obvious. I think most people are expecting some sort of a bear market rally where the price is able to, kind of rally up a fair bit, before potentially, again, coming back down, which, at the moment makes sense. It's the classic TA thing to say. So obviously, if you're a more traditional analyst, you're going to be sticking to your guns on that kind of statement. That still looks entirely possible, and so it begs the question, if we do top out, are we going to top out at 25? We're going to top out at 30? We're going to top out a little bit higher, like 40, which is actually the most aggressive target that I've been giving you guys, because I just feel like 30, I feel like 25 is a given. We're probably going to break above that. I feel like 30 is also pretty obvious. What I think is not obvious is a liquidity grab up at 40 and then coming back down. I think it would paint extremely typical price action for a bear market like what we had back in 2019. Take a look at this rally right here, where within our bear market, right, if I move this watch list away, within our bear market, Bitcoin hit $20,000 right here, crashed down to 3, went up to 14, and then crashed down to 3 again. Within our bear market, we managed to rally up by a huge amount, and it was somewhat similar circumstances, right? We had a horrible range, 130 days where, we didn't really trade within a particularly large range. We traded within a 35% range, and, there's a lot of similarities to that kind of thing right now. If I actually go ahead and remove all of these lines, we actually had a couple of those ranges, right? We had this that lasted 150 days. We had this that lasted a further 60 days. And, none of these ranges were particularly big. From low to high, this was 40%, very similar to what we had in 2018, 2019. From low to high here, this was 16%. Again, not particularly big at all, but very large time frames. We had a very similar treatment, ladies and gents, for quite some time. And I think that definitely, kind of mirrors what we saw back here with that $3,000 range. But then look at what happened. We started to get these breakouts, and they were very quick, very sudden, purely because a lot of that selling pressure would have been exhausted down in these ranges. A lot of that selling pressure would have been exhausted down in these ranges. Ladies and gents, if you were watching my YouTube channel back here in 2018, 2019, you are going to know very well that we were actually predicting this stuff extremely accurately, because the fundamentals of this technical analysis have not changed, right? The actual fundamentals of, at the end of the day, what is TA? It's just a study of psychology. We're just putting psychology in numbers. This is all just market dynamics of fear, greed, euphoria, and all that stuff. This doesn't change. It hasn't changed for thousands of years. It probably won't change for thousands of years. And so, I wasn't asking for you, Siri. And so what I think is definitely possible at a stage like what we're in right now is, a continued pretty quick rally. And actually, if I take you onto this chart, we've got this kind of pattern right here that, again, if you were subscribed to the YouTube channel, you're going to know that I was talking about a fair bit. And I actually measured for you what this move up was, which was roughly a 47% move. And if we bring this to our breakout point and then calculate a 47% move, that also gives us a stellar target of $28,000, which, if you've been watching for much longer, you're also going to know that 28K has been a key level of interest for me. I'm not so interested in that level anymore. For me, I feel like it's going to be 30. That's going to be a little bit more significant, but 28 still definitely an important level on this chart, in my opinion. So, to see that this breakout is also working out quite nicely, I think is great. And it makes sense, right? Because this is, again, the same thing I was talking about where, initially Bitcoin's moving down very quickly, but then it moves down a little bit slower, which is potentially an indication that the momentum that we had when we were dropping down is now not as strong, potentially indicating, my arrows are disgusting, potentially indicating that our momentum is reversing and the market might be able to rally up. So this is, again, I made a good number of videos about patterns like this. I even have a much larger pattern painted somewhere on one of my charts. I don't know exactly where, which indicates kind of basically the same thing. And we're probably actually going to be getting close to that resistance. Let me see if I can draw this for you again. This is going to be difficult because it's a very large time frame pattern and I forget how to draw these, but this is important. So I want to give this a shot. Something a little bit like this. Yeah, we are very close to that resistance. Look at that. And then I think we're drawing our next line from around over here, if I'm not mistaken, something like this. Yeah, this is it. So, we're just kind of, we're starting to brush up against our resistance right now. Actually, this line is the same as what I drew right here. So isn't that poetic? Look at that. If we just extend this line back, it's the same thing. So, we could be looking at potentially kind of hitting the resistance of this, which is basically, this whole thing that we have on the chart is basically a bigger version of this. And, again, if you were paying attention towards the beginning of the video, I was showing you how the market can very quickly rally up and then, very quickly rally up like this and then kind of slowly rally up like this. But then, just kind of continue moving up like that. And I showed you that happened on a small time frame and on, now a somewhat larger time frame over here. Obviously, it looks quite insignificant now that we've zoomed out. But one of the key things that means is that Bitcoin kind of repeats its characteristics, right? And that's not new information for us. We already knew that. We already knew that Bitcoin repeats similar characteristics within its market, and it just does it across larger time frames, smaller time frames. It does it in various different ways. And again, this is why I kind of try and tell you guys that, look, you don't have to make your life difficult. You only have to kind of identify what the characteristic traits of Bitcoin are, deviations, similar chart patterns, and so on and so forth, and then just look to identify them. You don't even have to do that much work. I don't understand people that think, if they just kind of sit around on their computer all day, they're going to make more money as a trader. That's not how it works. You actually, the reason traders are generally so fucking miserable is because most of your job is just waiting. It's kind of like watching paint dry a lot of the time. And shit, if you can't sit through that, then okay, you don't belong here. I'm not going to be one of the shit munching YouTubers on here that tell you to, buy a little fucking shitty 100x altcoin, then, kind of just hold your dick in your hand and hope that something good is going to happen. No, real trading is not glamorous. It's not sexy at all. But of course, if you're able to stick it out, you're going to get rewarded. You're going to be making really, really good gains. And so, just kind of brushing up against this resistance level now, I think it's worth bringing this stuff up because people are going to start kind of losing focus of what's actually going on. We're at a reading of 51 now, neutral territory. We haven't been this high for an extremely long time. I mean, neutral territory, the last time we saw this was April of 2022. And to remind you guys about where we were back then, we were looking at, this kind of rally up over here. So we were like, I mean, literally like double of where we are right now, roughly. The last time that we saw sentiment levels like this. So is it possible that we start to see a bit of a reversal soon? I mean, guys, just don't be surprised if it happens. I mean, people, going to be wondering now, is it the time now to be entering long positions? No, absolutely not. I mean, this is very, very late now, and this is quite a substantial rally. I mean, it even looks like it over here. You kind of you compare what we're seeing right now to what we've been having kind of before, and like if I take this bars pattern tool and just kind of, look at this, like we're literally mimicking breakout price action from 2020. Was this 2020? Yeah, this is before the new year was rung in. So, I mean, this is quite explosive. This is very comparable to a lot of the price action we had during the parabolic rise for Bitcoin. I mean, look at it. Look on Bitcoin's, when Bitcoin topped out for the first time at 58. I'm sorry, when it topped out for the first time at $58,000, it had price action very similar to this. This is extremely. I mean, it's extremely. How do I say, aggressive price action right here. I mean, it really mimics a lot of the big breakouts that we saw back in 21, 22, and 2020. And so I think this is not to go ignored. While I do definitely, I mean, this is the thing, is that the analysis varies. On our shorter term time frames, there's not much reason for Bitcoin to stop. Bitcoin has had its consolidation. You could also, by the way, definitely say that this consolidation was just a sideways channel, and it would mean the same thing. It would still mean that we had a time-based correction, not a price-based correction, because a price-based correction would mean that we come lower, but a time-based correction means that we just kind of trade sideways within a narrow range. In this case, it was 4%, and we do it for about, like I said, 6 days, and that kind of is enough. So I think what we're looking at now is potentially looking to reach some of these resistance areas. A little bit of a rejection around here would be nice, and the best case scenario that I'd see for this chart is something similar to this. Now, this screenshot was taken a little bit earlier before the big breakout happened, but this is a really good support area now, 21.3 up to 21.6. We were finding resistance here. I would love to find support here now. So what does that look like? That's 21.6 up here, 21.3 down here. This kind of area for Bitcoin to find some support would look really nice on our short-term chart, just on the 1 hour time frame and so on. As I said in this screenshot here, the hourly Kumo, hourly Ichimoku cloud, if you take a look at this, would catch up. And so if we see that happening now, I mean, it's already starting to develop in this range. So if we start to kind of stall out now and then drop, we're going to see some support here literally tomorrow. 4 hour time frame, our support is a little bit further away still. So we could pull back by quite a bit and still be completely fine. Momentum wise, we're actually doing pretty good, because since the price had a chance to since the EMAs had a chance to catch up to the price, it's pretty close to where we are right now. It's not going to take a whole lot of time, in my opinion, to see these kind of really catch up into this range between 21.3 up to 21.6, potentially giving Bitcoin a little bit of support on a retracement, and that would be some very beautiful typical price action to then lead us to rise a little bit higher. So I would definitely love to see this. If we start to lose levels, that means that we're going to be reversing our short-term downtrend, right? So what does that mean? If we lose this level right here, I'd say if we lose just the bottom of this range right here, if we go anywhere like here, that would potentially be problematic, showing me that, we could be looking at a situation where we might have to dip a little bit lower. If we lose this low, then I think we're really in trouble, because that means we're no longer actually setting higher highs and higher lows. That could mean that we dip a fair bit lower into this $19,000 range. But again, the good news with all of this is that these are really good support areas, right? I mean, we were enjoying this support for a long time. I say enjoying as if it was nice. This was fucking horrible. But we were able to use this area as support for quite some time back here. 130 days that we were using the support damn near continuously. And so to say that, we don't find any support if we kind of retrace back, I think would be, entering naive territory. And so if we do see the Bitcoin price topping out a little bit, you know the deal. I'm going to be right back to you guys with a video throwing on a Fibonacci. Obviously, it's a little bit too early to do something like that right now, because we don't actually know if the price is going to top out here yet. But, I do think that we have a potential setup with some nice opportunities here. One of the key characteristics of market setups like this is that they're not going to give us the kind of retracements that we want, right? So obviously, we wanted retracements down here. We didn't get them. Market just kind of rallied up higher. Very, very typical. The excitement is very much kind of entering full swing with this market again. And again, the best example of this is the 𝐻𝐿 issue right here. I mean, this is something that really should be quite a scary thing in this market. But again, I mean, when people want to be bullish, they'll take anything. I mean, you guys know the analogy that I love to give you guys. When you've got that high school crush, and you know you're infatuated over her, and there's nothing else in your mind, she could, yeah, and I've been saying this for a long time, ladies and gents, she could fart straight in your face, and you'd still be attracted to her. And that's what's happening to Bitcoin at times like this. It's very, very similar, in my opinion. Sammy Loyal coming back with the horrible analogies you already know. I'm in a good mood today. We're seeing a little bit of healthy price action, so this is definitely very exciting. You know, one of the other things that I like about this, to be honest, is that the dollar hasn't dropped, right? I mean, the dollar's, it's a little bit low, but I mean, it's basically where it was, you know, some days ago. It's basically where it was just like 2-3 days ago, according to this. I mean, really, I mean, it's not doing particularly horribly, yet Bitcoin is doing very well, you know, which is really good, because previously it meant that, you know, we kind of needed the dollar to drop in order for Bitcoin to rise, or at least that's certainly how it looked, with an extremely tight, strong inverse correlation. We don't have that right now, yet Bitcoin is still doing well. S&P 500, I was talking to you guys about how it's pulling back right now, but that I don't expect it's going to pull back for long. It's starting to rally up. It's moved up a little bit. Bitcoin has moved up a lot. We're seeing the right signs here. Bitcoin is moving up while the S&P 500 was dropping, and it's moving up a lot while the S&P 500 is rising up. All signs right now are showing us that this is a bullish chart. I mean, on the short term, it certainly is. And this is the thing, is that on the short term, it looks incredibly strong. But when you zoom out, when you kind of put your more reasonable thinking cap on again, we have to ground ourselves and remind ourselves that this is quite extreme price action. You know, it is quite extreme price action. So I don't want you to be surprised if we kind of form something slow like this and then, you know, continue to rally up. That would actually be one of the best things the market could do, you know, and it would form the inverse head and shoulders that many of you guys were excited to see as well. So something like that would be incredibly healthy for the market. You know, if we do kind of just rally up very quickly, then I think that we could be entering a little bit of trouble. So that is something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on as well. There are amazing opportunities brewing up in this market. You know, I think that, you know, a potential kind of short of 25K would be a textbook trade setup. And, you know, I mean, it could really drop like a stone from there, at least temporarily, you know, perhaps down to support levels like down here would make a lot of sense, whatever. These are big percentage ranges, you know, 15%, you know, at 5x leverage is still, I mean, 70% profit, I think, 75%, something like that. Really, really good numbers. And I want to highlight to you guys Bybit, because the deal is they're offering you guys, I know it says 5K here, but if you head over to the rewards hub and you sign up using my link in the description, they're offering you $30,000, up to $30,000 in bonuses, which means that you get actually free cash deposited into your account that you can trade with. And it's basically like demo money. So depending on how much you deposit, depending on how much you trade, you're going to be getting even reduced fees and so on and so forth. You are going to be getting huge cash bonuses when you use my link to Bybit in the description down below. And what that means, crucially, is that you're also going to be in a situation where it's like demo money, where if you trade it and make money, you get to keep it. But if you trade it, keeping in mind it's kind of like demo money, right? And you lose, then, you know, I mean, you're not losing your own money, which is incredibly valuable. And of course, you know, you can withdraw the profits that you make with that cash, which is an incredibly valuable proposition. Prime XBT, you already know the deal, $7,000 in bonuses right here, up for grabs. And that is very simple. Just whatever you deposit, you get 7% of it back as a bonus. You can trade traditional finance as well right here, which is incredibly useful for those of you that have a slightly more keen, slightly more slightly higher interest in those markets, which, you know, I think is incredibly interesting. I mean, to me, the traditional markets are sometimes a lot more interesting than crypto, even. You know, simply because they're I don't want to say they're less manipulated, but crypto's smaller, right? So it's a lot easier to manipulate, you know, the kind of price action that happens with crypto. So that's what I'm seeing right there. You know, I still think that we have a little bit to rise. You know, whether we consolidate a little bit doesn't really matter. I mean, you know, the price could definitely stall out a little bit. It could definitely pull back a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, I'm expecting that we kind of hit this range. Somewhere in this range, I think would make a lot of sense. And if we're able to clear the range, then 25K is going to be the next area of interest for me. I will be looking to see the price kind of retrace a little bit. Otherwise, I'm going to start to get a little bit worried. It looks like altcoins are doing okay as well, not necessarily outperforming Bitcoin by much by the looks of it. And against the dollar, you know, they're all kind of rising by similar amounts. We've got some coins like Phantom right here just absolutely skyrocketing. Let's take a look at Solana as well, because I know that was quite interesting to some people. Solana's up to $24, and yeah, it's definitely formed a nice recovery. I was actually going to give you guys a video on Solana, but I didn't end up doing it. If you want to see a video from me just kind of exclusively talking about Solana, then do let me know. Some potential resistance up there, just let me know with the comment section down below, and I will go ahead and make that video for you guys. Really appreciate you tuning in. You know what to do if you've enjoyed this one. Hit up the like, subscribe, take the bell, do all that good stuff. Take advantage of this huge $30,000 offer on Bybit when you sign up using my link. Head over to the rewards hub, just like that right here. It's also available on your phone. You can just download the app off the iOS or Android app store. And if you want to jump into VIP, see what's going on behind the closed doors of how I'm trading in real time as well, get all those details down to, you know, the consideration phase as to why I decide to commit or not to commit to a trade, all my reasoning, and then all the exact details on how I'm entering my positions, where I'm entering, and so on, where I'm taking profits, all in real time, then these are the steps on screen to get in there as well. Really hope you've enjoyed this one. You know what to do, and I'm out. Cheers.